Bonjour à toutes et à tous et bienvenue dans ce nouvel épisode du Digital Download. Oops. Good afternoon, good morning and good day, wherever you may be joining us from. Welcome to another edition of the Digital Download, the longest running weekly business talk show on LinkedIn Live, now globally syndicated on TuneIn Radio through IBGR, the world's #1 business talk, news and strategy radio network. Today on the Digital Download, we're going back to the whiteboard to solve a problem that is quietly killing your pipeline, the echo chamber. Are you seeing the exact same 50 people in your feed every day? Are your posts getting likes from the same supportive colleagues, but never new prospects? The algorithm is designed to keep you in a comfortable bubble, but comfort doesn't grow your business. So before we kick off the discussion, let's go around the set and introduce everyone. While we're doing this, why don't you in the audience reach out to a friend, ping them, and have them join us. We strive to make the Digital Download an interactive experience, and as you know, audience participation is highly appreciated. Tracy, would you like to kick us off, please?
Yes, of course. Good morning, everyone. I am Tracy Borreson, founder of TLB Coaching and Events, a proud partner of DLA Ignite, and an avid battler of the digital echo chamber. So I'm really excited for this conversation today.
Sounds excellent. Tim?
We should have got some like lightsabers to battle the echo chamber. Anyway, welcome. My name's Tim Hughes. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite, and famous for writing the book Social Selling Techniques to Influence Buyers and Changemakers. If I may be serious for a second, I just want to wish Adam Gray well. If you don't know, Adam had an operation last week, and while he was in hospital, he caught sepsis, and he's being pumped full of antibiotics. He's just got home yesterday. So I've told him to have next week off as well, but he's very insistent he's going to be back on Monday. We'll see.
Yes, we
get well soon, Adam.
Get well soon, Adam.
Well, and we're probably going to miss him in this discussion today. So I've got a foundational question to start the discussion, of course. How the platform naturally wall you off from the people you actually need to meet? Who wants to take this one?
Well, so I don't know if everyone knows how algorithms work, which I think is the sneaky thing here. The algorithm's belief is that if you see more of what you like, you will stay on the platform for longer. And so it does a whole bunch of things behind the scene to try and feed you what it thinks you like so that you stay on the platform for longer. That's its game. It's actually very simple. But we are feeding it information all the time about what we want to see and what we don't want to see. Sometimes intentionally, most of the time unintentionally. And so when we're doing that from an unintentional point of view, its default behavior is to keep us in our circle. And so it's not weird that you would have the same people seeing your stuff. They've tried to explore some things with the bell, right? Where you could ring the bell, but then people ring so many bells, you can't even reasonably get it in your feed. And there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on. And so at the end of the day, this really comes down to really intentional digital activities. And most humans are not doing very intentional digital activities.
And we'll explain that. Tim, you wanna?
Yes, I agree. I think that most people come on to LinkedIn with using that as an example because they feel they have to, rather than actually to be intentional about it. You know, someone has said you're at the kickoff, therefore you have to post a photo of that, but nobody actually knows why they're doing it, and they're not getting any business benefit from it. I think that I've just been going through. I must admit, I prefer the app on LinkedIn. It tends to be you're able to block things far more, which is really useful. So if a salesperson I'm connected to shares 2 or 3 brochures, it's like block, because I'm really not interested in that. The same with brands. It's far easier now to block brands on the app as well, which is good. So and that's a way of trying to what I'm looking for is insight. I'm looking for someone to here's a podcast for how you roll out AI in your company. Okay, so someone's done that. I've actually saved it and watch it later on. Or here's some. I'm always wanting for a bit of research or something like that, and I share that with the team. And it's I'm looking for that sort of stuff, and I think everybody is. Tell me something I don't know.
Okay.
But also, can we also just add on that depending on what that is, what you don't know is, if it is knowledge-based, I think like humans have been programmed to believe that collecting more knowledge is good. But when it comes to like new perspectives or things that might encourage you to move outside of your comfort zone, which again, the algorithm is very good at protecting for you. I would say our practice is not in one of like actively getting out of our comfort zone digitally on the day-to-day. And we become like more siloed in that, like, this is what I believe. And so I can only talk to people who believe that, whether it's a political thing or a religion thing or a time zone change
thing, or
right? Like there's a lot of reasons why we decide to segment ourselves into these areas, and the ability to like get out of that, it doesn't originate within the algorithm. It originates within each one of us as individual humans to say like, oh, actually, I'm really interested to understand what CFO's point of view is about marketing. Because I could just talk. I actually did an episode on my show on Wednesday about like insularity in the go-to-market function. And so when like marketers only talk to marketers, that's only a very small perspective, right? As much as we would think that we know all of the things. But we don't. And we specifically don't know how like other departments perceive us, how we're using our budgets, and all of these different types of things. If we don't talk about it, potentially opening the door to something that's uncomfortable for us to hear, then we keep ourselves locked in the echo chamber, and the algorithm just helps us.
And we know that within companies, we tend to be extremely connected. So the echo chamber works very well by design.
I just want to say hi to Greg Walters.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Greg. So we said we would go back to the whiteboard, and we have, I think, our followers on video probably are well familiar with the look and feel of that whiteboard. So it's you on one end and your ICP on the other end, and in between, whether it is a in-person closed door or a digital ecosystem, your two ecosystems are very separate. And that's where the concept of echo chamber comes from, to be honest. So we have already addressed things that you need to, that we believe that you need to do to look approachable. Let me recall this. So we want your profile to look slightly different than your CV. We want you to look nice, approachable. We believe it is quite useful that you've got stuff about yourself, but also things that you would want your visitors to read, pieces of content that you believe are important and nice. Hi, Adam. And we also have what we called, and everybody should know this in that team now, in that panel. What is this?
This is the coffee.
It's the coffee maker.
That's the coffee machine, because we need a coffee machine to start a discussion, one of the small talks, etc. So that is our landscape. So how do we break through that echo chamber, which means basically reach out to your ICP ecosystem? Question mark. How do we do that? That's an easy one. Come on.
The pitch lab.
Are we saying? Are we sending
Yes.
emails or things like that?
Definitely want to pitch people on our very first
we
outreach.
definitely want to do that. No, I can't believe it. No.
No, folks. Just in case you're wondering, don't do that. Be a human.
And what do humans do?
You know what is my favorite example of this? Humans talk about the weather. So I'm not saying to send a post about the weather in a connection.
That'd be a good idea, actually.
I mean, if you're in the same place and the weather is crazy, it's not the worst thing. But the point is that people talk about people stuff, right? Like people don't talk about work stuff. They don't want to have your tool to know the top 5 things to hack the algorithm without knowing who you are. They don't want that slammed in your face, and neither do you, right? So like when you go out and have conversations with people, how do they start? Use that, right? Like what kind of questions do you ask? What kind of things do you share? This can also tie into your profile, right? I've shared before on the show, and I share it all the time locally too, because in Calgary, the like number 1 door opener from a LinkedIn banner point of view is mountains. People love the mountains. All they want to do is talk about the mountains. And if you start a conversation about the mountains, then you can take that conversation wherever you want.
If I understand correctly, in the UK it's about barbecues, right? Sorry for this one. But the bottom line is, if you want to break out of the echo chamber, the best thing to do is to invite people.
Invite them in.
So who would you invite first? Okay, I'll give you a little bit of help.
Give us.
I have a different.
I invite some people I know first.
Well, that's a good point. Maybe maybe someone here knows. Maybe someone in your network here knows your ICP directly, which is then great, because then that's an easy catch. But assuming you don't have that connection, there's a population here that I've drawn in a different color. Who do you think this is? Who do you think these are?
The purple people eaters.
Yeah, exactly.
The blue meaners.
Okay, so I'll give you the answer.
Oh, I thought you were going to write peeps, which is my
These
word.
are my peers. Sorry,
These are my
it's
peeps.
a bit small, but these are my peers. Yeah, because believe it or not, the people that you trust the most, without knowing them, are the ones that do exactly the same job as you. So I would argue that if you are a salespeople, if you are a sales rep and you want to get into your ICP ecosystem, I would actually invite the sales rep of that ecosystem. Sounds quite logical. Probably easier way to get in.
This works like doubly good. Can I just share for marketers? Because marketers in most scenarios are not doing direct sales, right? And so marketers connecting with marketers in the target account is super easy to do.
Exactly. And also because, maybe we didn't share that before, but these are obviously, networking invites. And if you invite a peer, under the, let's say the networking justification, I don't see any reason why they would not agree. They would not accept, right?
No.
And as a matter of fact, we'll see. We know that we generate something like anyone starting is probably generating something like 30 to 35% acceptance rate into this kind of population.
Yep.
I find if you have like something in common, so whether it's peers and you work in the same kind of industry, or it's mountains, or you've attended a similar event, or if you as the person sending the invite has a good idea of why you're connecting with that person in particular, not just the account, right? The account's your target account, so that's fair. But why you're connecting with that person at that account, then that rate goes up pretty substantially, right? So like, hey, we both attended such and such event, would love to connect and continue the conversation. These types of things get like a 70, 80% acceptance.
They'll get 70, 80%, yeah. When we work with Anaplan, we actually did something where we got they got their list of target accounts, and the marketing people connected with the marketing people, the sales people connected to the sales people. We got the finance people to connect to the finance people, the HR people to connect to the HR people. And when you think about the fact that the current 6 Sense reports showing that most B2B enterprise purchases are done when, and they actually know the people in the and pick the suppliers they know. It's a great way to get into people's timeline.
But it also does like two things, because that's a really great example, is that it's not just like one salesperson who's trying to get in touch, and it's also not from the like receiving end, because I bet you we've all received these too, where you have multiple salespeople from the same organization trying to connect with you, and you're like, same.
It's usually people trying to sell me investments.
Yeah, I mean, yes, investments. There's like been a couple of different scenarios where I think people are using this as a strategy, but these are also things like pay attention when you're doing it, how it would feel receiving it. And we're not like, people are smart in general, right? If you reach out to multiple reps from your organization or reaching out to the same person, they're going to feel bombarded and they're going to want to say no to all of it. Instead of one person reaching out across functions. And now all of a sudden your finance department's already connected to these people from a finance department point of view. And I actually don't have to do as much selling, because a lot of the business is based on the connection and not a selling process.
Yep.
And I also think that if you address, and to complement this and maybe look at it from a slightly different angle, which is, we just said that the best way to send an invite is that it should be no pitch. And I think it's probably easier to do that when you've got a little bit of a challenge in adoption of this practice. Probably it gets easier if you target your peers. So clearly, what we were just saying here is, it's a no pitch zone. This invite is a no pitch zone. Whoops. Otherwise, you are probably not going to see a great acceptance. And anyway, if you reach out to your peers, there is no point pitching. I think that's that's where you also have a kind of safety belt if you're not so sure about this. And so what happens? Probably you're going to get acceptance. That's okay. So let me materialize this, because it's quite interesting from an echo chamber perspective. So what we're saying is that all of a sudden, because I've got acceptances, there are new people. I've got new friends. There are new people in my network, which brings a little bit of fresh air, to be honest. So I'll probably see some new content. I'll probably be exposed to new content from these people as they enter my own ecosystem, right?
One of the things I would like to just like add on to that too, because I think when people get kind of caught up in the narrative of just like send invites, right? Send lots of invites, and then we're like all concerned about sending lots of invites. Maybe we know what our acceptance rate is, but then we get these peers in our network and we don't do anything with them. We just like collect them. We don't listen to them. We don't talk to them. We don't share. We don't have a conversation. We don't look at other people's content. We just get like focused on, we're still generating content, and this is about you coming in so you can consume our content. If we're not curious about the reciprocity factor, then you can collect a lot of people and it will also do nothing for you. So I would say, again, like if you got invited to a party and you accepted the invitation, you went to this party, but you've never been at this party before, it's a brand new party to you, and you go and no one talks to you and it feels totally uncomfortable being over there, you're probably going to leave, and you're probably not going to come back to the party again if they invite you again. So like, let's take care of those people that we're inviting over, which I think is, I mean, a certain amount of volume is reasonable to like grow your visibility. But at the same time, if you're like, I'm gonna send 1,000, you can't keep track of 1,000 people. Like, who are the like 20 meaningful people that you could invite into this conversation? If you invited 20 meaningful people a week and you were like actually learning from and exchanging things with them, like that can lead to a very robust pipeline. It does not have to be thousands of people. So I think that's another thing, just from a social media point of view, is a lot of times people get caught on just the number. And the bigger that number gets, the less we can take care of them. And not everyone will, right? Like I always say, like I send out my connection request and I get about a 90% acceptance rate. And then I invite people into conversation and I get about a 40% acceptance rate. And then we get like have one conversation and there's maybe like 10% of the people who are like worth keeping in the conversation. But that like, it's not a huge amount of people. So if you start at 100, then I end up with 10, right? Like I can manage 10. I can manage 10 conversations. I can't manage 100 new conversations in a way that are going to like take me somewhere.
But that's okay. You can rely on your robot, Tracy.
Oh yes, yeah, so my robot take care of that for me.
Okay, great. So what we're saying is that, okay, so we've got new people and these are peers into our network, but we don't leave them alone, right? So what is it that we can do to not leave them alone? I think,
engage with them.
We can get.
We can leave comments and likes on their own content.
We can do a bit of a comments, because as we often say, we don't know anyone that is publishing content to remain unnoticed. so if we have new friends, then we should behave as friends and probably comment, react to their content. That could be also an option. I just want to say that Tracy mentioned that it's probably we're looking at 20, maybe 30 meaningful. I think that's the key word here. Meaningful contacts or invitations a week, so that slowly but surely you are you're breaking the ecosystem, and at the same time you're creating some quite disturbing behavior for the algorithm, right?
I love disrupting the algorithm. My whole thing is that like the algorithm has its game, and that's fine. But I'm here to play my game. It's not the algorithm's game.
All right, so that's a good starting point. So
I think the other thing that I would put here is that, because I also think a lot of times we think we have to slow play. So like, okay, we're going to get a new contact and then the only thing we can do is react on their posts. Well, no, like if they make a comment and you feel like aligned with it, or it intrigues you or something, like you could DM them, you could send them a direct message that says like, hey, you could post a like meaningful question or comment on their stuff. You can ask them to have a conversation. Like, my favorite thing is when I see, like, I have a lot of people in my network lately who are like posting poetry, which I'm like, oh, let's see what's happening here with the algorithm, but I like it, right? So it's good. But like, there's something interesting about that. And so then I can, like, I've reached out to people in the DMs and said like, hey, this post like really resonated with me today. I just want to like high five you. Because again, like, not everyone's creating content, and it's stuff like that is specifically not a lot of people are creating that like personal, meaningful content, and it almost always leads to a conversation. You could say like, hey, I noticed that you're celebrating your like 5th anniversary. I've never gotten to a 5th anniversary at an organization. That's like so exciting, right? Like, again, the importance is that like you see it and you think it. But like, if you think it, then you could tell them it.
Yeah.
You can tell them it in a direct message. It might lead to a conversation. So just because I've also seen people get like very programmed into, oh, the first thing I can do is only likes, and I'll do likes and for a week, and then I can do comments. Like, well, no, those rules don't exist. Right? But like, be a human. What would you do? Did that intrigue you? Or are you, because comments, I've seen this also, I'm sure all of us have seen this, right? Like, people are commenting to comment, or they're using AI bots to have a certain amount of comments because someone told them the comments are good. But like, that's not contributing in the direction you want to go. What are your thoughts? Is it spark something for you? If it sparks something for you, do something with that. And there's a bunch of things that you could do, including asking people to like have a conversation.
Good. So we are, let me see, we've got a few comments. First of all, we've got Adam. Oops, sorry. We've got Adam saying hello. So hello, Adam.
We miss you, Adam.
We miss you for sure. We have Greg. That is, is probably his introduction, never met, not spoken. Find you interesting, blah, blah, blah. Let's connect. Nice.
And can we put pages up, please? Because
great conversation. Hi, Paige. Great conversation. Tracy.
All that I'm getting credit for hosting this, even though it's totally.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Well, we'll talk about that later.
This is why we restream, folks. Add that to the like content part of this.
All right. So we've got new peers, and we've got Adeline saying hello. So great. Hi. New comment again.
Yeah, I agree with Greg. Yeah.
Incoming DMs work.
It must be real, not an L merge, not an LLM generated. Sure is good brevity and only real comments. Yeah.
Yes. And what should have happened has happened. Okay. Right. So we now have peers, from peers coming from our ICP network into our network. So in other words, we've got level 1 connections into our ICP ecosystem, which is always great, because when we want to invite people we don't know, whether we think it's real or not, it just facilitates clearly the connection to people we don't know and that are not our peers. So that's I think. After a while, you get to the point where, you've got peers in your network, and therefore you can target people that are not your peers and expand your coverage into your ICP ecosystem, which is always good. I think you had a specific KPI on this team in some initiatives as to how many connections do you have into this account as part of a pipeline review, by the way?
Yeah. If I was reviewing a salesperson's pipeline, I'd expect them to have 10, 20, 30, 50 connections in a particular account. Because usually they've only got one. Or in many cases, none at all.
Yeah, they've got a data list that they've pulled from somewhere that
Yeah.
like has that person on the list, but they're not actually meaningfully connected.
Yeah,
to
are you
them.
connected?
Yeah.
Then you go through a process. Do you have any connections? And have you spoken to them? You know, where are they just connections, or are they actually you've had conversations?
Yeah, and I think this is the point too, because when we look at how the data might be stored in like a CRM like database and rolling up to dashboards, right? Like a lot of times, I mean, at least this is what I've seen in the sales process from a marketing point of view, is that like we get these stages for opportunities, where we get a target account and then we say, go find somebody to talk to at this target account. And then we have just like an opportunity, and an opportunity moves like through the stages. But we all know that like buying parties are much bigger than they used to be, especially if you're trying to sell into enterprise. And so if there's nowhere where anybody's having a conversation as part of this whole process of how many people you're connected to in that organization, and again, not just because you sent a connection request and maybe got lucky that they accepted it, but like, you know them, you've talked to them, maybe that means you've commented on their post. Maybe that means you've had a DM. Maybe it doesn't mean you had like an actual conversation, but like, if they don't know that they know you, then it doesn't count. If it's kind of like some hidden, like, I could say that no, let's not, no lying. No lying in the sales funnel. Folks, let's just be honest. If we don't know that person, that doesn't count, right? We can spend some time getting to know them. Go
Tracy, it's when you see the salesperson with their fingers crossed, or they've got like a rabbit's foot, or rabbit's foot, or you know, a four-leaf clover or something.
And I just wrote an article earlier this week on your luck surface area. So if anybody wants to like play the luck game, go read that one. The
by
lucky
the way,
rabbit's foot is not in it, by the way.
The connection of preparation and luck is the connection between preparation and opportunity.
And I think this is a really important thing, I think, to discuss as part of this whole whiteboard. This what we're talking about here on the whiteboard today is that like we don't control, as salespeople, as marketers, as much as marketers would love to convince you otherwise. I don't control when someone's in the market. I also can't convince someone to be in the market for a thing. We don't control that as sales and marketing, go-to-market functions. We don't control that. We control being in front of people when they are in the market. And so these activities are about being in front of people in advance. It's not about trying to shoot fish in a barrel and say, like, I'm going to connect with the peers that I know are buying tomorrow. No, first of all, they're never going to reveal that information to you because you don't have a trust relationship with them. So, like, don't be ridiculous. We can't do that. That's not the exercise. So if we spend too much time trying to, like, pick and choose those people, it's a waste of time. Go out and connect broadly with people, right? Yes, in your target accounts. If you're trying to sell enterprise, you don't need to connect with a whole bunch of mom and pop shops. That's probably going to be a waste of time. But like, go and connect widely, because I don't know who's going to be the insight person behind that purchase, right? They might buy a new technology because the innovation department said so. They might improve their insurance communications because they got a customer complaint, right? Like, we do not control these things, but we do control how many people know that we provide solutions in this area. Go forth, young ones. Connect broadly.
All right.
Keep going, Bertrand.
Sorry.
Keep going.
Yeah. A little bit.
We've only got another 20 minutes.
That's okay. We're almost done because what
we've got to get Tracy to talk a bit more then.
I can feel the space, man.
Well,
you guys know this about me. That's why I get invited.
This was planned anyway. And we just a quick comment, because I'm just cracked up looking at the chat. When we say no pitch zone on invites, that also works on comments. All right. So what happens? Okay. So we have moved away from, not moved away, but we've leveraged our connection with our peers so that we can connect with other people into our ICP network, which means that now we also have people that are not our peers, but do work into have a function, or at least are part of the sphere of influence and the ecosystem of our ICP. So that's pretty good news, because we can do exactly the same, by the way. So engage, react, comments, but also something happens here is that our content, and I think, and I'm happy to discuss that, because I believe that your content should be aligned with the people that you're inviting. Your content will be exposed to your new friends, which does make sense. And from that perspective, I find the algorithm quite on the money here. So you've got new friends, you're releasing content, so obviously your content is probably going to be exposed to your new friends as a first subset. So that still works, which means that if you write intentionally for these new friends, there's a good chance that they do also react to your content.
Just a quick thing there. It will be quick.
Of course.
A lot of people consume content without reacting to content as well. So I think that's something important to keep top of mind, especially if you're new to the creating content arena, because everyone's like, oh, like 3 people commented on this, right? Like, honestly, I've been writing content for years. A lot of blog posts I write, I get 3 comments, and one of them is always Tim. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, thank you.
But there's a lot of other people who might have consumed that you don't actually know, that are a mystery. And so I think it's also important to remember that is happening behind the scenes. And a lot of us who have been doing this for a while, there's a lot of people who will reach out to you that seems completely out of the blue, who have been consuming your stuff for a long time. Right? So it's the consumption of it isn't always fully reflected in the numbers that the platform wants to give you. So that also just ties into your why behind creating it, right? Like if I'm creating it because it's St. Patrick's Day and I want to talk about luck again because people are still crossing their fingers and being like, luck, that's what's going to make our marketing funnel work. And I'm like, no, it's not. Let's talk about it. Then that content, it can be helpful. And if it helps 1 or 2 people, that's good. That contributes to those meaningful conversations. It doesn't have to help 1,000 people. 1,000 people don't have to like it for it to be a good piece of content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I had a very good example today on today's post, to be honest, of people that are.
My comment.
Yeah, you Thank
Tim
you.
is very good at supporting all of us.
Thank you, Tim, for that. But there were other comments, which is always reassuring and is worth saying thank you, by the way. So.
Okay. Also, an important point there, because once somebody comments, then it can also go into the feed of their network. Like so and so commented on this post, right? So if someone's been talking to Tim and then Tim comments on my post, then the algorithm could say oh, you might like Tracy's post because Tim commented on it. So this is another really interesting way just to create flow on the platforms, is that I like it, and I'm sharing that I like it because I do like it, or it inspired this thing in me, but it creates the opportunity for other people's content to be seen in your network. And so that's a giving component, right? If we want to be able to take something from our network at some point in terms of a sale, then that flow begins by giving as well. What if I end up being the person that I like this post, and then somebody in my network saw it because I liked it, or I commented on it, or I shared it, and then they ended up doing business with the other party, who gets the credit for that? I do. Right? And this is just good for your digital reputation. So
we have an interesting question from Greg. What the heck is an impression anyway?
I feel like this is Adam's question.
Yeah.
What is it? It's like the page loads for like 0.6 of a second or something. It's kind of ridiculous.
It's a pixel that loads for 60th of a pixel that loads for 60th of a second.
Yeah. So it counts if someone like scrolls right on by. Which I think
an impression
most
is
of us,
someone scrolling right on by.
Right. So I think most of us would consider that completely irrelevant.
It gives, well, the way I look at it is it gives it gives you an idea of the potential size of your community. That's it. That's how I interpret it. We've got another question, or is it a comment? No, it's a comment from Resma, saying, I think vanity comes into play when looking at content performance. Clearly, I think we're on a perfect agreement here.
Well, and just to comment on that, there's only certain things that the platform can track, right? So what the platform tracks, what it can track, and it shows you it. Okay? And because it does that, we've associated value with those things solely based on the fact that the algorithm, that it's trackable, right? But there's lots of things that are trackable in our daily lives that don't add value. Like, how many pen strokes did I have while I was writing these notes? Like, I can track that. Is it valuable? Absolutely no. Right? So there is a discernment that comes into play here when looking at the numbers, right? Because the platforms, they're trying to show you that they have value. They're going to show you what they can show you, and they're going to want you to believe that that has value. And again, as an individual human or as a sales team or as a marketing team, we need to be just like very honest with like what about this matters and what about it doesn't, right? Like, I don't even look at my impressions, to be honest with you, because it's completely irrelevant and I don't care. So again, like, it's something to watch. And I would say this especially for marketers, because marketers are like data-driven marketers. And then we collect all of the data, and then we have all of this data that means absolutely nothing that we're processing. And we're spending cycles processing that data instead of going out and having conversations with people. It's crazy.
Okay, thanks for that. So just to summarize, yes, your new friends will be exposed, and yes, every now and again they will react. And this is really good news, because as you said, Tracy, if they react, then there's a good chance for your content to end up into your ICP ecosystem. Because we know that 80% of your feed is made of your friends' reactions. So that's probably the best way to start doing what we are after here.
Being front of mind in front of being daily front of mind for your customers. Wouldn't that be a great idea?
That sounds like a good idea.
And when they put shortlists together, they'd go, who do we pick? Oh, do you know, there's that person, that Steve, who keeps sharing that, or Stephanie, who keeps sharing that really interesting content about human resources. They must know about that. We must get them on the shortlist.
Yeah, and I just want people, I feel like when Tim says it like that, people think it's ridiculous. But like, literally, this happened to me this week. So like, Local Innovation Hub is like looking for marketing coaches, and they're like, oh, your name came up first. So like, guess what I get now? I get first right of refusal. If I'm too busy and I can't do it, I say yes to way too many things, but like, I said yes. I'm like, I could do this for like 3 different groups of people. But like, that's what you want. You want your name on the list Right?
Yeah.
And people are only going to put your name on the list if they think you know about you know more about a thing. And now they're in the arena of like, oh, we need to know more about this thing. We need someone to come help us with this thing. You know who knows more about that thing? That person.
Yeah.
They better at least.
And what we're going to do is we're going to invite you in, and you can share your opinions of that, and then that would influence the deal. Wow.
Exactly. Which is, and you've seen
And
me
the big reveal.
You've seen me coming from far, as we say. That's a literal translation from French. But obviously, what you're doing progressively, assuming you do that intentionally over time, is that you are slowly but surely removing.
So we're going to
or at
move
least
from closed
merging
to open.
both ecosystems. Yes, Tim.
Open the doors.
I would not say the door. I would not say the door is wide open, right? But over
The door
time,
is cracked.
over
It's
time,
not locked closed.
over time, you will have options. You will have options because the door will open slightly, and it will open for you. Exactly. Excellent, excellent background noise.
But if the door is open, even just a crack, that creates the potential for opportunity, right? Like the opportunity is on the other side of the door. So if the door remains closed, and worse, if the door remains locked, then the opportunity remains stuck on the other side of the door. But once the door is open, a crack, there could be a cat that tries to like squeeze through there.
It'd be like The Shining.
I mean, I don't know that we want people to think there's that much danger on the other side of the door, but I mean, use your own analogies.
Yeah. All right. So basically, I think we made the point, right? So this is not about sending emails with heavy pitch included. This is more about trying to reach out to your peers first, because they're most likely to accept your invite. And by the way, it also acts as a safety belt for you not to pitch, and then slowly or rapidly expand, as Tracy said, into your ICP network, so that over time you've got new friends exposed to your content. If you write intentionally for these friends, there's a good chance that they actually react to your content, which is all we need, because then your content ends up being exposed to your ICP network and ultimately to your ICP, which then opens a little bit opens the door for you, so that you can actually go and invite your ICP, have a chat, engage, blah blah blah, all these good stuff, because you are a member of the family. You are no longer you're no longer a stranger, and hopefully not seen as a threat, which is the exact opposite of the traditional approach, I would say. Closing comments on this.
So the comment, Greg Waters' comment. I don't know if that's feedback to us. So just an FYI, good conversations. I'm wondering what a bloody or two would add. Is Greg? Are you suggesting that we swear or something?
To show our passion, because
and then you said asking for a friend. So
it's awesome. But I think there's like an important realism in that, right? Like some people, we all speak in different ways. I always say, like, when you have young kids at home, most people get into a practice of filtering profanity out of their language. And so like, if that is something that you do authentically, then I'd say, like, do that, right? Don't try and throw in stuff that is not what you would say. But also, if you can get closer and closer to saying what you would say, and when you feel like you're surrounded by friends, in your network or on a live show, it's much easier to do that. It's easier to write your content that way. It's easier to write comments that way because you feel safe. And the echo chamber is related to a vicious cycle that's going nowhere, right? There's a way to feel safe and to punch holes in these boundaries, and being able to like find your way to do that is part of the practice, right? So we're not standing here saying, and like I'll say from my own personal experience, like when I started looking at things this way, connecting with people this way, I was not as authentic as I am now, because I have learned more about myself. I feel more confident in my skills. And so you build on that as you go. But the key is to do what you would do, and do what you would do today. Do what you would do 5 years from now. You don't know, right? You're going to build the skills. You're going to get better at it. It's going to get easier. Yes, if you like to drink Bloody Marys, talk about it. Good, right? There's also an importance, because I had a conversation with a client about this lately, is that like, if you get into the place of like revealing something you feel uncomfortable revealing, then that went one too far for right now, right? You might get there, right? We were talking about gardening, and I was like, you learn so much about like what you do from your garden. And she was like, it's too far for me right now. Like, I can't go that far. And I'm like, that's okay. Right. But like, it's interesting to like, to try on those things and be like, no, that's not what I would do. This is part of the whole exploration. And I think the other piece of that is, if you're in the exploring phase, any piece of content that you create, any comment that you add, it's gonna be obsolete. Like 2 weeks from now, right? So
the risk is quite low. I agree.
Right, the risk is low. So try it. Go try and find some peeps. See what happens. See what feels hard. Like, explore that, right? Get into conversations like this, or with people like are in the chat, and just like explore. What is that for you? I think that's the fun. And I think if you can make this feel like an adventure instead of like a funnel, then you will be much more successful.
Yep. Thank you so much, Tracy and Tim, for
Bertrand. Thank you so much for doing that whiteboard. It's excellent. It amazes me every time. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, that's great. Well, anyway, we do have a newsletter, as you know. So if you want to,
it's going to cover your face. Tracy.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid. Let's check. Wow. Sorry for that. Yeah, this is unmanageable. This part of the show is unmanageable. But if you want to know more about the show, if you want to know more about what's coming up next, please swipe the QR code on screen or visit us at digitaldownload.live/newsletter. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend and see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank